What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, all my gamers and my gamerettes? Welcome to Kiaun Vents episode. Well, what episode are we on? Number 6 or number 5? I lose track, brothers. My bad. Man, I just had to make this. You guys know that I usually make these every once in a while for things that might have came to mind and that I start thinking about. My goodness, man, it got me to thinking this week. We just heard a lot of confirmed PlayStation 5 news from the man himself, Mark Cerny, this week. And it is absolutely amazing to hear these things. And we're going to talk about it this Sunday. We're going to get a little more in depth into it. But because of time, I don't like making these too long. But getting back to the point, man, getting back to the daggone point. Man, I started thinking, God, dog, we live in an age now where gaming news just comes out every couple of minutes. If you look on Twitter, if you're looking on Reddit, if you're looking on IGN, N4G, any of these gaming places, you will see the news is trickling in every few minutes. And it got me to thinking that back in the day, I had stumbled across my first gaming magazine that I ever had, man. I got it sitting right here, brother. It is an electronic gaming monthly back from October of 1991. So this was back, let me see, what does the cover say? It says, bonus 96-page Sega Force magazine inside, it says special collector's issue at the top of it. Now this is very interesting because when this came out, they were saying that, let's see, it says Super NES 16-bit special Super Mario 4 winning tips. So this was before, I guess, the Super Nintendo even released, because back in 91, I think that was the year that the Super NES released, give or take. But they were calling it Super Mario 4, and everybody knows that the game that came with the Super Nintendo, it was Super Mario World. So it just goes to show that back then, you know, magazines were the only way that you could keep up with any of the gaming news that was going on. I started going through this and looking at some old articles. Oh my gosh, man. I started looking. They had this one ad in here that says, "You've tried the rest, now play the best." And they were talking about the Tecmo games that came out back then. They had Bad News, what was it? Bad News Baseball. That was by Tecmo. They had World Wrestling by Tecmo. I don't know if y'all remember that. That joint was so amazing. They had Ninja Gaiden 2. Oh my gosh. Let me read this real quick. It says Ninja Gaiden 2, The Dark Sword of Chaos. It says, sequel to Ninja Gaiden, the arcade and Nintendo bestseller. Hard to beat. Man, Ninja Gaiden 2 gave me some freaking trouble. There's a couple of reviews in here of some old games. Speedball 2 looked like it averaged about a 4.5. You had Star Wars on a Nintendo that averaged about a 6 or 7. Some bad reviews, some average ones. But it was just so interesting to me that now we are at the point where news just trickles down so fast, and all we had back in the day, and I hate to sound like the old gamer, you know, back in my day, that kind of guy, never that, but it's just amazing to me to see that the information, that Mark Cerny interview, we wouldn't have heard anything about that until probably this time next month. Unless you were just an insider or you were in the industry, we were at it was just so many barriers up back then where, I mean, it's just amazing how fast the news travels. I mean, even in here in this magazine, it has an article. It says, "Happy second birthday, Genesis." Now it says on August 14th, 1991, the Genesis celebrated its second birthday. We here at the Sendai Publishing Group, Inc. are always up to doing something different, and this occasion was one which we couldn't pass up. Getting a baker to make a cake in the size, shape, and color of the Genesis in 24 hours in 24 hours says was easy. Try explaining to a baker what a Genesis is over the phone. But getting it from Illinois to California in 4 hours and keeping it in one piece was quite a trick. Now, this was just a happy birthday to the Genesis, man, that it turned 2 years old, August 14th, 1991. God dang, I'm old. I mean, just little things like this. They talked about Sega in here a little bit more. Where, let me see if I can find the article. It was such a dope article because this game was a game changer. It didn't really get the shine that I thought it deserved, but it was absolutely an idea that was way ahead of its time. I'm going to see if I can find it really quickly because, man, just going through some of these old games. I mean, Valia 3, Super Mario World, Terminator 2. What's this game right here? Musia that never came out. That was supposed to come out in 1991 on the Super Nintendo. It never made it. You got Sonic ads in here back when Sonic was just starting to get a little bit of shine, starting to become an icon. Well, he was far from an icon back then. But, I mean, you got the Sega CD, you got Rolling Thunder ads in here. Just so many different things, so many historical things that was gaming back then. One of the first Maddens is in here. Just absolutely amazing. So when I look back and I think about, good grief, gaming back then, back in 1991, man, what a much more simpler time it was to be a gamer. There was no updates. There was no mid-gen refreshes. Everything was just what it was. You wait the 5 years and a new one comes out. And that was how it was. But I think that the industry is in a much better position now because it's no longer a niche market. Everybody is into gaming. I mean, it's making billions of dollars a year in revenue. And I think it's in such a great, great place. But I just couldn't help but to think back to these amazing glory days. They were selling games back then used. It was called Play It Again, where you could call into the number and actually get games or sell your games, but everything was via mail. Everything. It was no digital downloads, no nothing. Here it is. This is the article I was trying to find. It says, Sega unveils new holographic technology. You guys might remember this game or you might not. But it says video games have gone holographic. Now this exciting technology is being harnessed in Sega's latest coin-op entry, Time Traveler. By using an industrial laserdisc player and a special monitor display, Time Traveler is capable of producing images with an incredible three-dimensional quality to them. Don't look for any wimpy computer characters either, because Time Traveler uses the actual images and voices of live actors to play out its 26th century saga. As Marshall Graham, you've been selected to journey through time, fighting past the evil renegade scientist Volcor to reach the beautiful Kyla princess of the Galactic Federation. Standing in your way are a variety of time zones featuring everything from cowboys to ninja warriors to space knights. With its amazing storyline and amazing visuals, Time Traveler represents another breakthrough in arcade entertainment from Sega. Man, let me put this magazine down, brothers, because I'm not trying to make this forever. But I say all of this to say that, man, we live in a heck of a good time to be a gamer. Yes, the industry is not perfect. Very true. Yes, we still have games that don't live up to snuff. But overall, what a heck of a time, man. I mean, just looking at those articles and things about what Mark Cerny said, some of the things that he mentioned were absolutely jaw-dropping and amazing, to say the least. A lot of people are really wondering how much this console is going to be. Most people are predicting $500. I think the same thing. But nonetheless, just getting back to the point, magazines were the lifeline. back then. I mean, that was all we had. When it was an E3 special on the front with those big 2 letters and the number E3, man, you knew you were in for a bum rush of news. It was just such an amazing time because it was really a drip feed of information back then. Nobody knew what was going on month to month. Then you get into a cipher with your friends and start talking about this game and that game and, just what might happen. There was so many different rumors going around about Super Mario Brothers, the original, having time warp zones that didn't exist. Time warp zone 27 where you would just go way past everything else, like Mario went into the future. Just so many rumors. You could jump over the flag. Once you jumped over the flag, you could save the princess early in the castle. I mean, it was just ridiculous, just insanity, but it was such a wonderful time in gaming. And like I said, now today, being able to have all of the information completely accessible darn near in real time, and being able to actually interact with some of these execs, some of the game producers, some of the designers of these games on Twitter or different social media outlets. It's just fantastic, but good grief. I don't want to harp on this too much longer, but I would like to know though. I mean, shoot, man, I want to know, what was your first gaming magazine? Like I said, mine was EGM, October of 1991. So that would have made me, I was 11 years old in 1991. I was 11. No, hold on. I was 12. 12 years old. That's the first magazine I ever bought with my money. I believe, I mean, the other ones didn't count because they weren't mine. They were not mine, so I couldn't take them home. But yeah, this was the first one. Nintendo Powers, they came a little later. That was another thing, man, going to school. And that next month would start. It would be like, let's just say, shoot, May 1st. May 1st is just starting. You're like, oh my gosh, a new Nintendo Power is coming in the mail. I can't wait. And I would just come home every day, bum rushing the daggone mailbox until finally somewhere in that month, I'm about to say a Super Power, a Nintendo Power magazine would show up. And oh my gosh, homework wasn't getting done. Studying wasn't getting done. I beat my parents home because they got home a little later in the afternoon. I would just go to the kitchen table and I would just get comfortable, get a bowl of cereal after school and sit there and just look in so much amazement at the different games that were being shown. They had the codes in there or the cheats that would be in the magazine. Nestor was in there and whatnot from back in the day. It was just a heck of a time, man. Excellent time. And it probably just seemed so much grander because I was younger, and everything for some reason just seemed so much better when you're reflecting on it. Whereas when you were going through it, it wasn't that great. But nonetheless, just a fantastic time for me. I just loved reading the magazines. I'm sure they helped my reading comprehension skills quite a bit between reading the gaming magazines and actually trying to read the text in the games. I'm sure that had a heck of an impact on my reading back then. But yeah, man, I don't want to make this too long, but I just took a little trip down memory lane today, man. It was just amazing to see my old magazine. I got a ton of these downstairs, just stored away. I mean, I got hundreds of these things, man. They're in there like comic books right now. So when I was going through and I just saw this one, since this is the first one that I ever purchased with my own money, I made sure that I keep it on top so I never forget what that feeling was like back then. But anyway, man, I'm about to get up out of here, though. This is just a quick one. But if you do want to tell me and tell all of the listeners out there, and shout out to the listeners, man. Y'all mean everything to me. Thank y'all. But if you want to be a part of this, you can either do it two different ways. You can call in at 443-2 216-9934, or you can email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Well, man, this is about the end of my time, but don't worry, fellas and fellowettes, because we'll be back this Sunday. But until then, get out there and play some games and enjoy yourself. I'm out of here, guys. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.